Hello cyclists, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are doing my March plan with me setup in my new bullet journal. So this month's theme, as you can see, I've decided to go with a bit of a yoga theme, or sort of like a calming theme, because I feel like March for me is going to be just astronomically busy. So I wanted a theme that every time I look at it and open it I can see sort of some, calming symbols, I guess. I'm not really big into symbolism, or at least in like symbols having power in terms of drawing. I more so just like to do it for fun, and I think drawing these sort of like same symbols over and over again in this theme really kind of, that act itself helped calm me down. So maybe, I'll start to associate those calming feelings of drawing it with the actual symbols themselves, who knows, by the end of the month. But so I decided to go with like a yoga-y theme, and I think that was because I used to do yoga back in high school for a little bit, and then I kind of fell off with doing yoga. And I've recently been trying to do more like workouts and stuff with friends, and it just sort of got me thinking back to that time where I did yoga and was way more flexible than I currently am, kind of starting over. So I just sort of thought of it and really enjoyed it. The other thing is, with these symbols, some of them I already knew going into them, and some of them I did not. Like the upper symbol in the right hand corner is the sign for Om, which I never knew like had a physical symbol for it. The middle of the top row is obviously yin and yang, and then they have the infinity symbol. They have a lotus. I went onto Pinterest and just found like a guide of a bunch of different like yoga-y symbols, or like symbols for calming, and just sort of like drew those. And you'll see it as we go through that that's kind of like carried in throughout the rest of the setups. And then as you can see, I'm like really terrible at drawing people. I try to avoid drawing people, at least without a reference, as much as I possibly can. But I figured that this drawing, like, I didn't want to have to stress about it. I didn't want to have to like be so worried that, oh, like the proportions aren't right, or oh, I'm not doing this right. Like, I really wanted the act of doing this theme itself to be calming, because that's what the whole theme is representing. So I decided to try and just do like a loose kind of cartoony based look for yoga pose, and she's just sort of sitting there in an Om like position, I guess. But I guess she's supposed to be a little cartoon character of me, since I normally love putting my hair in a bun, on a yoga mat, just sort of being chill and everything like that. And as you can see, now that I've like sort of traced in all the symbols with my pen, I'm going in with color. I really love the color combination for this theme. The past 2 months I've been going like super color heavy, using multiple different colors, but I think this kind of brought me back to my roots of last year, where most of the time I would pick 3 colors, and then maybe like a helping color or a supporting color to go with it. And so the colors I've done are like a dark green, a light purple or lavender, a brown, and then a nice little tan color. And I think it's super simple, especially with the fact that there are so many doodles. I feel like going minimal on the color was definitely the right choice for this theme. And I just love the combination. It's very like cozy feeling. It's not like, warm, but it's more of just like a cool color combination, which again I think aids with the theme pretty well. I was also really debating sort of going in and coloring in the symbols as well, but once I put the color on the actual girl who's doing yoga, I felt like maybe including the same kind of colors into some of the symbols would be a little too repetitive, a little too busy on the page. So I decided to just color in the girl on the mat and leave the rest of the symbols black and white, which now that I'm actually editing this voiceover, I realized that I did not fill in the yin and yang with the black. I don't think I did that for the other times that I included the yin and yang sign as well, so that's fun. Now I'll have to go back in and edit that, so sorry if that annoys you. But now I'm moving on to the left hand side of the spread, and I am putting my habit tracker here. If you've watched a couple of my previous bullet journal themes, you'll know that I don't normally include the habit tracker next to my cover page, but I figured maybe putting the habits right as I open up the month will maybe help me fill it out more consistently. I've done a pretty decent job the past couple months of just being more consistent with it, but I do feel like March is definitely going to be a super busy month for me, so I wouldn't be surprised if I sort of fall off on being consistent every other day with my bullet journal. So I'm sort of just filling in some symbols. Some of them are like the other symbols that I used on the cover page, and then others are just symbols to symbolize like what I'm tracking. So what I normally track for my habits are my steps, my period, my workouts, my meals, and my budget or savings tracker. And I love this setup. I've been using this setup for multiple months now. It's just a perfect way to like keep concise all of the different things I want to track. And most of the things that I'm tracking, I need to actually have like space to write it in, like my meals. So I can't do like a calendar style tracker like I used to do, because that wouldn't really make sense. But now we are on to the calendar spread, and I thought it would be a cool idea to sort of incorporate like the yoga mat theme into the calendar. I was trying to figure out, because I knew I wasn't gonna have a whole lot of space for just putting the symbols or doodles. So what I decided to do was have the boxes have a little like yoga rolled up mat at the end, so it looks like each week is being like rolled out on a different yoga mat. And honestly, I am really happy with how this turned out. Normally, I don't typically like experiment with the layout of my calendar, just because I need all the space I can get with the calendars, and you know, my tried and true normally works pretty well for me. But I did just subtle changes for the calendar. Like I separated the box for each week by a dot grid, so they're not like all one whole box and connected. And then as you'll see later, once I started adding color, I added different colors to the mat, which I think just really helped pull it together for now. Normally what you guys don't see in the setup is me like actually filling out the stuff that I have to do for the month in there, and I will normally color code those events, and so that sort of adds a lot of color to the page after the fact. But at the beginning of the month, it's normally just like a pretty blank black and white spread, and I figured I kind of wanted to change it up a little bit, just, you know, add a little bit of pop of color in here, you know, why not? Since I only had 4 colors to work with, the things that I sort of decided to color track were birthdays in one color, holidays in another color, appointments and events in one color, and then tests and projects. So once I fill out my calendar and everything, I will sort of go ahead and color code that into everything, and that's how I track my months. The next spread we are moving on to is my 2 lines a day spread. Now, I used to be somebody that like did not understand the point of having a 2 lines a day spread. I would normally do like, if you've seen other bullet journal methods, I would typically do my monthly calendar and then, you know, weekly spreads where I would have like a big box for every single day to fill out like every single detail of what I had to do and to-do lists and all that. But right around like September, October, November, like those couple of months, I started getting like really busy and just would subsequently like not fill out the boxes, and it made me feel very like defeated, or like I wasn't keeping up with all of my stuff, and I just had so much blank space on there that I decided to just take a break from doing weeklies entirely. And then I did strictly memory pages, but then I felt like I wasn't really tracking the day-to-day events that were happening in my life. So I decided a couple months ago to do this 2 lines a day at the start of the year, and I really enjoyed it. It makes it to where I don't feel as much pressure to fill in like a whole box worth of like what I did that day. You know, some days we're not always productive every single day. We're not using 24/7 of our lives like doing things. So I decided like this 2 lines a day really helped me just really keep, you know, concise of what the important things of that day were, so that 1, I can keep it for memory logs, but 2, also just so I can sort of see my life in a very like quick glance, everything like all the months happening. So I really come to be enjoying this 2 lines a day spread, and I think I'm going to try and keep it for the rest of the year. But that's the beauty of bullet journaling, is that if a spread or a, you know, thing doesn't work for you the next month, you can always just go in and change it and do something completely different, and that's totally okay. You know, I was always worried at the beginning when I started bullet journaling that, I need to keep everything like exactly the same and concise, so that way when I look back on it, everything will, you know, look exactly the same, and I can like go back and all of that. And I'm realizing that's just so much pressure to put yourself on. And if bullet journaling isn't fun, first and foremost, like what's the point of doing it? You know, it like is not only supposed to help you be productive, but also is supposed to be like a more calming activity. And that's the whole like theme of this month. You know, this spreads are just like trying to be calm and like not releasing all types of pressure that you might have on things looking perfect or doing anything, and just really just for the fun of doodling, bullet journaling, and all of that. I find great. But now, explaining a little bit more, I decided to just put in a couple more of the symbols from the cover page, and I decided to draw our yoga girl doing a tree pose. This was one of the first poses I feel like I remember knowing. I was also debating doing like 2 other poses on the side, a downward dog and maybe like a upward dog, I think is what it's called. Wow. Yeah, can you tell it's been a while since I've done yoga? But I ultimately decided that I wanted to incorporate those symbols in again, so I just decided to do 2 symbols on each side. Now that I'm kind of looking at it too, I also did a symbol on the, next to the 2 lines a day. I kind of wish I hadn't and had lined it up a little better. That's what we get for not planning through, but like I said, this is supposed to be calming. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's totally okay if it isn't perfect. That just means that next time you know what to change to make it better. And now we are on to my final 2 spreads of this video, my playlist spread, which is a staple. If you are a longtime viewer of this channel or a fan of this channel, you'll know that I track what new songs I listen to every single month, and I do so in my bullet journal. So this is just a nice big spread that I can just write any new songs I've been listening to in the month, and then at the end of the month I make a video telling you all what songs I listen to, and I make a playlist. So if you're curious about how those work, I have a couple of those on my channel right now, so feel free to go look for those. But yeah, so for this one, I wanted to just sort of write playlist in purple, but then I felt like it looked too plain, so I did a little outline with the black. I didn't do this for any of the other headers. All the other headers are specifically just in pen, super simple, but I felt like this spread needed a little something. And for the final spread, I am doing a bit of a project tracker. I know this is not really typical for me, but like I said, March is just going to be so busy in terms of the amount of projects and events that I have going on. And so for particularly this one club that I'm a part of at my school, I know that I'm going to have at least 2 big events happening this month for them. So I decided to make this little project list. On the side, the left side is just a full box for the timeline of all the things that I need to get done and when. Then I have a little box for notes and a little reflection box at the bottom to see how my planning went. But now it is time for the final flip through of today's spreads. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below what your March bullet journal theme is, if you even bullet journal, down below so I can totally see what you guys are up to. If you're curious to what my past couple of months have looked like, I will have a playlist in the description of all of the different months I've done so far on this channel. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!